John chapter 16. And beginning at verse 16 through, well, I'll read through maybe 19. Let's see. Yeah. Maybe I read through. Just read. In John chapter, a little while and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Then said some of his disciples among themselves, what is this that he saith unto us? A little while and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. So what Jesus has done now is in preaching, as opposed to what we've learned in public speaking, what he's done here now is he's upset their equilibrium. Amen. And then you upset the equilibrium, and then you analyze the discrepancies. And then you give a clue to the resolution. So what he does here now is he has upset the equilibrium with a little while and ye shall not see me again, a little while and ye shall see me. And then, what is he talking about? We cannot tell what he said. Now Jesus knew that they were desirous to ask him, and said unto them, do you inquire among yourselves of what I said? A little while and ye shall not see me again. A little while and ye shall see me. Verily, verily, I say unto you that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. Ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. A woman, when she is in travail, had sorrow because her hours come. But as soon as she's delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for the joy that a man-child is born into the world. And ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you. And in that day ye shall ask me ye shall ask me nothing. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it unto you. Hitherto you have asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye shall receive, that your joy may be full. I want to read a little further, verse 31. After they acquiesced to his declaration, after they came to an understanding of him speaking plainly, he says, do you now believe? Behold, the hour cometh, yea, is now come, that ye shall be scattered every one to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I'm not alone, because the Father is with me. These things have I spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. I want you to look at somebody demonstratively as you can and declare to them, victory costs something. Look at somebody else and tell them, I didn't get here cheap. There wasn't nothing cheap about it. Statements, of course, towards the end of a sojourn, and particularly in a relationship with someone as powerful as Jesus, his final statements as he begins to close in his ministry, final words become extremely important. I don't know if someone close to you has ever gone on to be with the Lord, has died, and we generally rush to the bedside, not just to see them before they pass, but generally we would like to enjoy their coherence. We'd like to get a word, because final words are important. My father passed 3 years ago, and my sister Grace was in the room with him, and I had visited and left, and And I wanted to know at the end of the day, what did he say? Did he talk to you? Did he say anything? Did he leave any blessings in word? Did he give any prophetic utterances? Because final words are so important. It was interesting that a few weeks later, the lady who cooks for me, that my mother designated to cook for me, yeah, my mother chose that, brought me a letter, handwritten letter that my father had written 3 years before he died, and said to her, don't give it to Noel until I am gone. Now it seemed real eerie because it seemed as if he were talking to me from the grave. But it gave me a sense of peace because I am now I have his final words. And he was not nearly as significant as Jesus. And so the disciples now are feeling the transition, and they're holding on to his last words to them as he begins to move towards his crucifixion. And the impact is astounding because he is about to replace sight with faith. He is about to move from his corporeality, his pulchritudinous presence. He's about to leave them and move away from them, and they can only now contact him in spirit. There's a certain comfort that comes from sight, and there's a challenge that comes from faith. Because anytime you can see that God is with you, it brings one attitude. It's another attitude when you can't see it, you can't perceive it sensually, and you have to believe it by faith. We have operated in America for the last 25 years, and all of us have expected to see the operation of God in our lives, see the financial blessings, and see the growth in our churches and in our own homes. We like to see things and we like to touch things. But he's bringing us to a state of affairs where the real ones of us have got to now walk by faith. And it's a challenge whenever you have to make the transition from the comfort of a physical presence to the challenge of a spiritual presence. And then Jesus is saying to them now, I gotta move you from sight. I've got to now move you into a place that you've never been, because from the time I called you, you were with me in my physicality as your leader. Can you still follow me with the ebullience and the drive when you can't see me and you can't talk to me in the same sense that you talk to me now? Because the only way that I can give you the power you need to have is for me to leave in this physicality, to send the comforter in the spirit. I can't empower you like I want to empower you if I stay here with you this way. But if I empower you, it's because I'm going to release my spirit and I'm going to place it in you. And I just want to know, are you able? in your own mind to understand that I'm not outside of you, but now I am in you. You have heard my voice for 3 years. Now I want to use your voice. You have seen me lay hands. Now I want to use your hands. You have heard me declare the end from the beginning. Now I want you to declare it. And when you open your mouth, can you believe it's me speaking through you as when you heard me speak for the last 3 years? It's always a challenge when you have to replace visual deeds with promising words. We were flying the other day. I think we were coming somewhere, and as we were flying, it was clear. It was wonderful. I mean, there was no turbulence. There was nothing because we had clear air, and the pilot could see. The visibility was at least 100 to 200 miles, and he was flying. It was wonderful. And you know, I said to Brian that the water wasn't even shaking in the glass. It was that marvelous. Then suddenly everything went turbulent. Little boy hollered today when the plane hit the turbulence. He just screamed, and everything went turbulent. And the first reaction is to look out the window to see the conditions that are outside. And when I looked out the window, I found that it was so foggy and so cloudy that nobody could see. It's interesting that even though the pilot could not see, he didn't stop flying. Oh God, because what he did was he switched to the instruments, and he trusted the instruments so that he could keep on flying. Every now and then you gotta switch to the instruments and let the devil know, because I'm in turbulence, I ain't gonna stop flying. I still have the power of the living God. The difficulty here now, because he is establishing the phenomenology of power. Because what I've got to do now is I've got to move from being outside of you to move in you. And the reason I've got to move in you is so that I can declare that greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. I've got to come out of this corporeality of flesh. I've got to come out of this incarnate state so that I can take the spirit that is in me and place it in every one of you. Unless I do that, then you can't do greater works, because greater works is me stepping in all of you and using all of you to defeat the enemy in every place that you are in. When you talk about the phenomenology of power, you understand that what is on the outside does not have the strength of what is on the inside. I want you to view yourself for a moment. Just view your pulchritudinous boundaries, your body, and just believe me that your body separates what's outside of you from what's inside of you. Now, your friends and the people outside of you, they look at the circumstance that make you up. They see everything around you, and they notice that you are in the middle of a circumstantial environment. The tendency is for them to judge how you are feeling by what is around you. And they have a tendency to intellectually and cognitively decide, as they analyze you, how you ought to be feeling based on what they see around you. But unless they have the same spirit you have, they can't tell what's inside. I am not at all judged by what's outside of me, because what's outside of me does not declare who I am. It's what's on the inside of me that declares who I am. And greater is he. I feel greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. The reason you're still here right now with all the hell that you have been through is because greater is not on the outside, but greater is on the inside. The reason I won't complain, I feel the Holy Ghost. Y'all sit down. They're getting a little more work. We won't keep you long. The difficulty then is in conquering the world. That's what the text is about. The difficulty is conquering the world. Generally, when we want to get over something, we leave it. If there's a man, and rich white people do it all the time, you know, the little girl falls in love with somebody they don't want them to be with. They just pack the child up and ship them off. Ship them to England, ship them to Scotland, ship them to some far place in Siberia until they get that individual out of their thinking. Then they bring them back new creatures. Most of us and many of you have moved from one city to the next just to get away from somebody. I gotta get away. I just gotta pack the kids up and get away. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm through. I'm gone. Some sneak out in the middle of the night because you're trying to overcome something, and many of us think that by getting away from it, we overcome it. The question is, how do I overcome something that I am still in? How do I overcome the world and I'm still in it? How do I subject it and put it under my feet when I'm moving in it all the time? I can't escape to overcome it. So I've got to prevail to overcome it. You know, be of good cheer. I have overcome from the word Nico. I've got to fight it till I bring it under my feet. You told me just stop by the altar. Somebody lay hands on you. No. They've laid hands on me all my life. Some things you got to fight until you get the victory over. Some things you got to wrestle with. And the word Nicole means you're holding on to it. You're smelling the sweat. You're smelling the breath. It's so close to you that you feel everything that's going on. But you gotta make up your mind that this battle I cannot afford to lose. And so I gotta fight it till I get the victory over it. I feel the Holy Ghost already. Somebody in here had to fight something this week just to get to this place. And that's why Jesus has stepped into us. To change your situation, you gotta overcome it. Oh God, and to overcome it, you gotta have a source that's separate from it. I cannot be in the world and not of the world if the world is the source of my power. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world because I'm not looking for power from the world. My power comes from a source that is not in the world. So when world folks say one thing, I say something else because my power is not controlled by the world. Oh, I feel it. I'm going to tell you, touch your neighbor 7 times. Give somebody a high five for the first time. And say, the only reason I'm still here is because I have another source of influence. I feel like preaching now. I have become then, I have to be different from the world. Because the word world here is cosmos. And it's primarily an order or an arrangement. It's an ornament or it's an adornment. And it ultimately comes to the present condition of human affairs in alienation from God. And it carries with it, this cosmos carries with it an eon or a spirit. And it is the spirit of temporal possessions. It is vicissitudinous. It is sometimes up. It is sometimes down. And it carries with it the influence to bombard your mind so that you never operate in a consistent manner. That's why sometimes the lapels get big, then the lapels get small. Sometimes the dresses are long and now they're shortening. The thing of the day now are boots. After they've come through the red bottom shoes, now the fashion boots. So just as soon as you get used to one thing, here comes another thing. And as soon as you get used to that thing, here comes another. I have a Brioni suit I bought 25 years ago. And it's still in style because it does not have big lapels or small lapels. And I ain't got time to be buying things every week. I'm too busy for that. So I buy the right thing that stays in fashion all the time. I ain't got time to be shopping with the devil. That's why I stay with God. Because Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. So while folk are going up and down with the changes of the world, I can declare I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. And the reason is I have a shock absorber. The wheels of my life may be going up and down, but between where I sit, there's a shock absorber. And Jesus is my shock absorber. So while the wheels are going up and down, the cab is going consistent. Because I've got something to absorb the shock. And that is the power of the Spirit of God. Give somebody a high five for the second time. And say, neighbor, I'm not going up and down. Because the spirit of the world does not control me. I'm controlled by the Holy Ghost and the power of the living God. Y'all sit down for a minute. I've got to work. Paul, the ecclesiastical writer, calls it. He says all is vexation of spirit. And vexation here is a grasping after without attaining changing circumstance. Just when you think you got it, it moves away from you. So the whole system then is moody and it's unattainable and it's designed to leave you with deep frustrations, always out of reach, always anxious. And not only is it designed to leave you psychologically debilitated, it's designed to affect your health. So your mind now becomes an effect of your health. Then it affects the way you interact with other people because you can't trust where they will be at any given time. And it also affects how you deal with your enemies because Satan pops your enemies up and down and the haters that come around your life. I've got news for you. You've got to give God thanks for your enemies. Oh yes. Oh yes. You give God praise for your haters. Can I just lay this one on you? If you don't have any haters, you're not very gifted. We might as well have church in here. The reason you got so many haters is God has his hand on you. And whenever you have God's favor, whoever around you doesn't have favor is going to be a hater. If you don't have favor, you're going to be a hater. I feel like preaching. The system moves. The system is fickle. And it moves you up and down because the system is seeking to control. And when you are bought by the system and controlled by the system, you can never flow with the freedom that comes through the anointing of Jesus Christ. I wrote a poem some years ago. I called it Life's Game. And it goes like this. I started playing a game, I can't remember when, whose rules change every day. So no matter how hard I try, I never learn to play. Called out when yesterday you're in. Said it's right, but it used to be sin. Think it's peace, but it's tired strife. The vicissitudinous rage, this game of life. Nobody knows what's in the deck. The pieces move in a senseless pattern to be sure of confusing instructions, yet enthralled by incessant interruptions. Play by faith and not by sight. Our eyes are not configured to know what is right. It seems the problem with life's game is all the players are insane. Unquote. Now the Greek writer put it differently. He said that the world system has all kinds of floating masses of thoughts, opinions and maxims, speculations and hopes, impulses, aim, aspirations that are current in the world, which it may be impossible to seize and accurately define, but it constitutes a real and effective power. Sometimes you're depressed and don't know why. Sometimes you gotta search to see what's going on. Sometimes you have to check what is moving around you, because oftentimes it feels like spirits have invaded your space. I want to know who I'm talking to. Sometimes it feels like no matter how you try, something always pops up to bring you down. No matter how you seem to get away from it, the composition is satanic control, constantly changing. Nobody can live with it. The subtle informing spirit. Can I preach to you like I feel it? You see, Satan made arrangements for you to suffer from your childhood. He made arrangements for you just in case you might meet Jesus Christ. He made arrangements to have the wrong parents in your house. He made arrangements for your uncles and aunts to attack. He made arrangements for you to fall in love with folk that he made insane through his control. He made arrangements to keep you in poverty through the psychological debilitation of how you've been socialized. He made arrangements for you to hear a lot of negatives about yourself until you believe what folk tell you and you live like how they tell you. Can I preach like I feel it? We have been controlled for so many years by a dominant culture, and they have tried to make us feel as if we were cursed in Ham when Noah cursed his son Ham. But Noah cursed not Cush. Noah cursed Canaan, because Canaan is in the history of the Jewish people. Cush went to Africa. Canaan went to the Canaan land. And we have debated whether or not we were cursed. And we live like it. The Jews believe they're the chosen people. And they live like it. I wish somebody talked to me here. But I found out that I have been chosen in Abraham and chosen before the foundation of the world. And don't expect me to live any less than to believe I'm chosen. And when I'm chosen, I got favor. And when I got favor, I got victory. And that's why I give God praise for my enemies, because my enemies get me blessed. I feel something coming on here. Give somebody a high five for the third time and say, neighbor, he'll prepare a table in the presence of your enemies, and you better eat, and you better not have indigestion. I feel the Holy Ghost. It is here now that he's made arrangements to control my attitude, arrangements to control me through temporary possessions, to bring me into moments of uncertainty, like a car skidding out of control on a slippery road. But Jesus declared, I have prevailed against this. There is divine purpose for your life, and that's the reason I've got to go, because I need to set something in you that gives you vision in the middle of a distorted world. I don't want you to see, come on Pat, I gotta go. I don't want you to see confusion in your life, but I want you to understand that I put vision in you, and vision means purpose, and purpose means destiny. I'm not here to be moved up and down by the world system. I'm here to be a revolutionary in a confused environment. I'm here to show I don't have to be subjected to how other people think, because other people don't validate who I am. Other people don't determine how high I go. I'm determined by the power of the Holy Ghost. Give somebody a high five for the fourth time and say, neighbor, God has made some arrangements for my life. God has set me in a place where the devil can't touch me. God has released my mind from the mind of the world, because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think it, you got it. I feel like preaching. If you can think it, it'll come to pass. If you can believe it, you can have it, and hold on to it. I feel the power of God. So Jesus said, the situation belongs to you. You don't belong to your situation, because I've grabbed the world and I put the world under my feet, and I've filled you with the same spirit that I control the world with. I put that spirit in you. I don't care how America goes. That ain't my spirit. God's spirit is in me. America can slide off the hill, but I ain't sliding with America, because I got that spirit of God. I feel something moving in the house of God. That's why I don't ask, is there a word from Wall Street? What I ask, is there a word from the Lord? Because if he sends me a word, Wall Street can't stop it. The White House can't stop it. The socials can't stop it. If he sends me a word, but I feel like preaching here. Give somebody a high five for the fifth time and say, you can't patch it. You got to change it, and you got to control it. This means you're going to have some sorrow before you have joy, because while you're fighting it, it's going to hit you sometime. While you're fighting it, it's going to hurt you sometime. While you're fighting it, it's going to wound you sometime. But I don't lick my wounds. I look to the future, and I give God praise for what he he's going to do. And here's what he said. A little while and you won't see me. Because the next day he was going to the cross. A little while and you won't know where I am. Because I'll be down in a tomb. A little while. 3 days later I'm going to rise. And I'm heading to the Father. And you gonna know that I am alive. Because I'm coming in you. Give somebody a high five for the second to the last time. And say, neighbor, the price has already been paid. The price for my victory has already been delivered. And it didn't come cheap. Can I preach like a tenant? If God paid a heavy price for me, I should stop acting like I'm cheap. I ain't cheap. What I've been through, what I had to fight, the demons I had to overcome, the monkeys I had to shake off my back. The devil is a liar. Ain't nothing cheap over here. I've been bought with a price. I've been filled with the power of the living God. And I come to tell you, let them write you off. For a little while, they won't see you. A little while, they think you're done. But I heard him come up 3 days later, said, oh, power, power in heaven and earth is in my hand. Give somebody a high five. Say, I paid for it. I cried for it. I suffered for it. I hurt for it. I was talked about, mistreated. I've been walked on. But it's my time. It's my season. It's my day. It's my hour. I paid for the right to lift up the name of the Lord. I paid for the right to tell the enemy, get out of my house. Get out of my money. Get out of my church. Get out of my world. Get out of my place. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Yeah. Do I have one more? Give somebody a high five. Said it's done. It's done. My victory is won. My place is established. My strength is given. Somebody holler. It's done. It's done. Cause I think it. I believe it. And I'm gonna go get it. It's done. Celebrate! 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 Who God hath made you! Who God hath made you! Who God has lifted you to the next level! whatever comes in your spirit must be like minded. We've allowed too many people in our space who are not like minded. And how can two walk together except they be agreed? You can go as far as you believe. And this is leadership outside the lines, because the designation is of God. And there's a uniqueness about you that you're responsible to fulfill, because you've been placed to do it and nobody else can do it. And I close with a line from the great friend of mine who just passed, as I was visiting him a few months ago. And I flew 4 hours one way to talk to him for 20 minutes, got back on the plane and flew 4 hours back home. And as we were talking, I said to him, it's interesting that from the days of Jesus, the apostles, to this day, that nobody is indispensable. Everybody has a time to live and a time to die. Work while it's day, for the night cometh. And as I said that and was musing, that maybe that wasn't the right thing to say at a time like this. But we're just talking. And he said to me, he said, no, nobody's indispensable. But some of us are irreplaceable. And if each of us would receive that as a part of our lives, and our prayer to God will be, Lord, I know I'm not indispensable, but help me to live so that I'm irreplaceable. Well, because there's a uniqueness about you. Ooh, I see it. And when you get up tomorrow morning, please give God thanks for Jesus and thank him for yourself. It costs something. I'm not cheap. I want you to do something. I want you to sow a seed very quickly. And I want as many to sow a Jubilee seed of $50 right now on the altar. I want you to do that with me. I'm sowing a $500 seed tonight. I'm sowing it in the name of my friend. And I want you who can, and this is always to who can, sow a $50 seed. Just come bring it to the altar, because it's not cheap. And I want this seed to represent who you are and what you have been through to become what God is shaping you to be.